Hello friends, welcome to Drishti, and in this session we shall be discussing the mains question paper of UPSC Mains 2026 of the economy section. Let's begin the session with some analysis of the paper that has come today in the paper 3 economy part. You see, we have nearly 8 questions that have come from the Indian economy part, and as usual, majority of them are from the agriculture, food security, but some new topics have been added. For example, the questions from the startups have also come this year. So one question is from the digital rupee. This topic is very popular nowadays because the questions have come in the prelims as well, right? So second question is on the technology missions of agriculture and food security. We shall see the answer. One question is about the India's energy security challenges and the measures. One question is about the food scarcity to surplus agriculture diversification policies. One question is about the RBI's financial inclusion index and the financial inclusion. This topic was also there in the prelims this year, which shows that the government policies are being focused upon by the UPSC as well, right? One question is on the agriculture, produce, marketing and e-commerce, and one question is about the agriculture subsidies, WTO. This is a topic which has been asked multiple times, and you see in this paper 1, 2, 3, 4, and this trend is for the last many years. Out of 8 to 9 questions in the economy part, paper 3, in paper 3 we have 20 questions. Nearly 8, 9, 10 questions are from the economy section. Half of them have always been from the agriculture part, and this trend is followed in this year only as well, right? So let's discuss the answers to the questions, how to write the answer, what should be the content, and what should be the introduction and the conclusion part. The first question, friends, is about what do you mean by the digital rupee? In this context, explain the working and the progress of India's CBDC, right? So this is a question on the current CBDC issue. Now the question is to be written, answer is to be written in the 150 words for 10 marks, right? See, usually we have a structure of the answer, right? We start an answer with a brief introduction, then we come to the main body of the answer, and after the discussion on various pros and cons, we conclude the answer with a conclusion that what should be the future, what should be the solution, right? So this is a pattern which will be followed in all the answers. That's a standard pattern, right? Whenever the question begins from a basic question or a say definition, in that answer the introduction can straight away be the answer to the question. Here we don't need to have any introduction separately, just begin from the digital rupee. What is the digital rupee, right? And then explain the working and the progress, right? Now always to write an answer, divide the question answer into say structures and the paragraphs or the components which have to be focused upon. In this part, if I see, the various components should be, one is about the digital rupee, then explain the working, then third is the progress, and at the end you can add a conclusion or some way forward. So this answer will have broadly 4 parts, right? So in the 4 parts you have to write total of the 150 words. So I would say we can go with say 40 words in the all about the digital rupee, or say 50 words, and the remaining words may go to the working and the progress. Suppose in a broad idea I say that 50 words or 40 words go in this part, 40 words go to the working part, 40 words go to the progress part, and the remaining 30-20 words may go to the conclusion. The answer is perfectly framed. Now let's write what is the digital rupee. So this is a kind of a digital token of our sovereign paper currency that RBI issues. So in this part, write all the information that this is a digital token that is similar to the legal tender, that's a commercial currency paper that we have. The RBI issues this to the banks sell this to us. We can take the e-rupee from our banks. The banks provide apps in which we can store the digital rupee or the central bank digital currency. They are similar to our paper currency. They are not cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrencies are decentralized without any third party regulator, but the CBDC is similar to the paper currency but in a digital form, right? So in case you're not aware, this is how it looks like, a digital token of our paper currency, a kind of a picture of our paper currency. So RBI issues of the denominations rupee 2, rupees 5, rupees 10, and maximum it may be 2000, but rupees 5000 is the majority of the tokens printed, right? So write all about that. This digital rupee has two components. One is the retail e-rupee, other is the wholesale e-rupee. So the payments between the people to people, peer to peer, it is the retail e-rupee, and for the institutions it's a wholesale e-rupee. Institutions may even buy the government securities from the e-rupee, right? And this is payment from wallet to wallet. So a digital transaction may also be cross-border, right? So as far as you know on this part, you should write this part in 40, at max 50 words, because this is a main part. Then you write the working, that how it works. So RBI issues them to the commercial banks. Those banks issue to us through their apps that is connected to our bank app. So from the bank app you make a payment and you get equal amount of the CBDC in your wallet of the CBDC, that is the bank giving you, right? And from there you can make transfer from wallet to wallet, right? So this is a kind of a working, and the progress you have to write that how many say transactions have been completed, what is the progress so far. So nearly 17 banks offer the CBDC as of now. 8 million active users are there of the CBDC, and the total transaction value so far is 34,000 crores as per the recent data. Now international transactions, suppose we buy from Russia the crude oil, so in future the payments may be made through the e-rupee without any third party. So but as of now we have not made any foreign transactions, but in the future this is possible. Now the issue at times we look at that internet connection may be weak, right? So for the low connectivity regions, right, what we have a near field communication technology, that is you can tap and pay, right? So the near field communication NFC technology is being used to say make the payments faster in the low connectivity, low internet regions. And you see the tokens can be kind of programmed by RBI to have a food subsidy distribution. So the government may also use that money as a food subsidy distribution, and they may be programmed in a way that only food may be bought. So as a pilot project it is being practiced in Puducherry, Andaman and some other areas, so that the government may not have to say purchase the food grains, store them and then transport them, directly transfer the e-rupee to wallets. The people that can buy from the shops which are say registered with the government. As a result, the direct benefit transfer is also future of the DBT or the e-rupee. So everything has been mentioned here by me, so you can also go through them, like the progress, right, how it works and what is the digital rupee. So the idea is the answer should be catering to the question demand should be met. So the question here is largely about say the meaning, working and the progress. So write them in all the relevant data points, the answer is complete, and at the end you can say conclude. See, conclusion is your own creativity, right? Conclusions cannot be say customized. It has to be driven by your own imagination that, okay, you say that we need to have the digital literacy, that's also a conclusion. You can have a financial literacy is a conclusion. So what you suggest, right, is the conclusion. So here we can say that it will not replace the UPI. You can add that UPI are the two different things. UPI only is a medium to say transfer cash which is held in the bank account, but UPI and the CBDC will supplement or complement each other. They are not competitors, right? And then you can also write that we need to increase the literacy, we need to increase the awareness so that the cashless economy is higher. So on this ground you can end the answer. So I hope that we are clear on this question, right? The second question you see is about examine the view that financial inclusion is an integral part of the social and the economic inclusion in a country like India, right? Also throw light on the usefulness of RBI's financial inclusion index. You see, this index was also in the PT this year. There was a question in the prelims on the criteria of the index, right? Again, the question is of 10 marks and 150 words, so we just break up the question. That the first is your examination, that how the inclusion is an integral part of the socio-economic inclusion, right? Then throw light on the usefulness of the RBI's financial inclusion index, right? So let's break the answer into the two main components. You see here, the major part should go to the first part, right? That how financial inclusion is an integral part of the social economic inclusion in the country like India, right? Now, in this part, again, as we discussed, you have to have an introduction, a body, and the conclusion, right? So, in this part, I would say one will be the introduction of the answer, then examination of the social and economic say inclusion is based upon the financial inclusion, and then some challenges may be there, right? Some solutions may be there, and then you have to throw a light on the usefulness of the RBI's index. So the content is very diversified, right? Let's look at the word structure. So I would say 15 words should go to the introduction part, quick. Then you write how social and economic inclusion is based upon the financial inclusion. So in this question introduction, I would say, see, introduction is always a challenging aspect for the aspirants because they think what we should write which will make impact on the examiner's mind. See, in the search of a very attractive introduction, I would say you will waste time. Start with a data, a report, or a basic definition that will not divert your answer and save your time. So in this part, we can begin with the definition of the financial inclusion, that including more and more people in the formal banking network is called financial inclusion. This is all right. Or you can also quote any data that how many accounts have been there, but the data will be used in this part, right? So including more people in the banking system, like we have launched the Jan Dhan account, right, which has included nearly 59 crore accounts in the Indian banking system, and 3 lakh crores of deposits are there in the banking system due to this Jan Dhan account. So many people have joined, 59 crore people have opened accounts, and they are a part of India's financial inclusion journey, right? Now, what are the benefits, right? Suppose we talk about the economic inclusion. Now, suppose my account is in the bank, right? I deposit, I get some interest. So earning is there, right? With the banking habit, I also get the credit of my businesses. So the people, the small businesses get the credit, they get loans, right? So they deposit, they mobilize money, they get loans, they may transfer money from the urban to the rural people, money transfers is there. When the banking system is there, economy gets formalized, right? economy formalization takes place. The whole gig economy is largely based on the financial inclusion. You see, you make multiple payments through multiple gig economy platforms. You book for cab, you book for the home services, you book for the food, etc. They all is based on the financial inclusion. So economically, it has added to the GDP of the country, the jobs in the country, the loans in the country, the deposits in the country. But socially, it has also a benefit. The point is, you see, people can easily get insurance, pension, the subsidies through the banking system. The old elderly people, the widows, the diseased person need not go to the banks to get their pensions. They will get in the bank directly. The PM Kisan subsidy comes in the bank directly. The PM Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, you pay 436 rupees of premium, you get a 2 lakh rupees of life insurance. So all transactions are easily done by this bank. If the bank was not there, it was a very cumbersome process to get the whole insurance done. The PM Suraksha Bima Yojana, you pay rupees 20 as a premium, you get a cover of 2 lakh rupees, the kind of death insurance or the accident insurance or the health insurance. So life insurance, health insurance, Atal Pension Yojana, the PM Kisan, the direct benefit transfer, they all are the social benefits that we get from the banking system. So you have to explain, elaborate, but the challenges will be there, that the literacy of the banking availability, right, the credit quality, the bank's own NPAs may be the challenge. So you end this part here, but the next part is the usefulness of RBI's Financial Inclusion Index. You see, RBI has launched inclusion index, that how much people are in the banking system, and that index is based upon 3 parameters: the access to banking, right, like the quality of banking and the usage of banking. The access means whether the banks are there or not, whether the bank branches are there or not, right. The usage means if the bank is there, how much loans are you getting, how much accounts are you opening. And you see, the quality of banking means that what is the grievance redressal, what is the literacy in the people. So based upon these 3 indicators, right, RBI issues a score from 0 to 100, and higher the score means higher inclusion. So as per the recent data, March 2026, RBI's index of the inclusion in the country was 70, which is out of 100. It means we have increased our inclusion, but still we have a long way to go, because we may have increased branches, but the credit availability is still in many areas not available at the affordable rates, right. But the good thing is that RBI's inclusion has not focused upon, say, widening of the banking. It has focused upon the deepening of the banking, right. Opening accounts is not that important, but account holder gets the credit, the deposit, the pension, the benefit, the insurance is important. So RBI's inclusion index has increased people's depth in the banking, and you see, banking is a key to a broad arena of multiple services. You see, interbank transfers, the credit mobility, the deposit mobility, the insurance, the pension, the gig economy, the formalization, the GST, the income tax, the small businesses are into the banking system, they get loans from the Mudra Yojana. So it opens the whole, say, Pandora's box for the India's economy. That's why this is useful to estimate how much are we getting into. The having bank is not important alone, having the banking is important, right. So in this case, we have enough content to write on the answer. I hope that we would be clear on this answer, right. So in this case also I have mentioned everything in the, say, PPT, you can read, right. So we have everything, that the data is there. You see, like the 56% of the women are holding the accounts in the Jan Dhan Yojana, right. And the rural areas and the semi-urban areas, they have 78% of the accounts in the banking system, right. So we have the 57 crore Suraksha Bima Yojana beneficiaries, right. We have 26 crore Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana beneficiaries. We have 8.8 crore Atal Pension Yojana beneficiaries, right. So people get, they are in the formal banking system, and that's why when you are in the banking system, you have a credit history, you have a CIBIL score, then you get the loans easily. That's why this inclusion in the banking system leads to the social and the economic. It's empowering. Banks, I think, is present generation's most empowering tool, right? The elderly can save money without any fear. The banks are there, they can get the government subsidies, pensions, and that's why this is the answer. You can throw light on the usefulness and end the part that we should further increase the literacy and awareness. The digital banking should be promoted. This is how the answer will be ending. I hope that we are clear. The third question is about on the agriculture. Describe the various technology missions initiated in Indian agriculture and examine their role in the food security. You see, this question is again of the 10 marks, 150 words, right? So the first thing will be, of course, the introduction of the answer. Yes or no? Then describe the missions, right? Examine their role in the food security. See, examination always means a two-side visualization of the situation, that okay, this is good and this is has issues. But whenever you discuss on the two grounds, the last point is to conclude, right? You have to say, also write the conclusion, that what is your final stand on this part. So here what we have, the four aspects to be answered. Again, introduction will be say 15 words, right? The description of the technology mission should be larger because this is the core of the answer. I would say make it say 60 words, right? Then examination of the mission on the food security, say 30 words, pros, and 30 words say is the issue, and then we conclude the answer. So I guess 15, 30 words is remaining for the conclusion. So we first have defined a well structure of the answer as to what is the say introduction, the description, one thing. As I said, that in case you don't have any click what to start with, just begin quickly. Don't waste time on the thinking of the very great introduction. That is nothing called great. So write, I would say, the technology mission. What is the technology mission? See, when you write a description, your brain activates on the content part. So you write that, okay, to increase the production drastically, right, to include the technology into agriculture, to increase or to convert scarcity into surplus, the missions are launched. I repeat, the mixture of agriculture and technology to convert a scarcity into surplus, the missions are launched called the agriculture missions or the technology missions, right? For example, the national mission on the say oil seeds, the national mission on the cotton, the national mission on the edible oil, national mission on the cotton, etc. So from various time to time we have launched multiple technology missions whenever we felt that that crop is in say scarcity and we have to turn into a surplus, right? So the first such mission was brought in 1986 when we brought the technology mission on the oil seeds, right? Then gradually we brought on the cotton in the year 2000, we brought on the horticulture 2005, we brought the food security mission 2007, and now we have a digital agriculture mission in 2024 to make the agriculture more digital. The farmers will have a registry, they will have ID connected to their crops, the land size. As a result, everything will be more systematic, right? So we have launched multiple missions from say edible oils, the palm oils, the cotton, the horticulture, say the digital agriculture. So you have to write the description here, right? Then the missions have led to some advantages, that we have reduced our import of the oil seeds, right? We are a country with a food surplus because the food production, the National Food Security Mission 2007 has led to a surplus production in the country. So we are a food surplus country. We have reduced our dependence on say imported oil seeds or the pulses. We are a country with a great cotton production due to the BT cotton that we introduced in the year 2005 on 2000 onwards, And now we are getting into the digital agriculture to make agriculture more sophisticated, more transparent, and the land disputes have to be reduced. Farmers' awareness, farmers' attachment to the land is being increased by a registry. But the idea is, you see, apart from the benefits, we have some issues. The issues are that missions are benefiting the large farmers, not always the small farmers, because the small farmers having the small land size will not be able to adapt to the missions, the large scale production, say, policies, right? As a result, in the agriculture, we have seen a discrimination, a kind of a gap has come with the rich and the poor farmers, right? And the use of the technology requires awareness, which is not there in the farmers in many cases, because see, they are, say, farmers which work very hard and they have a small piece of land, so they cannot look beyond the small land, because for them the food security is the most prominent thing. They cannot look for the 10 years because the food is required for the family, right? So the technology missions will not be sustainable, which not be fruitful without the ecosystem for the farmers, that they should get a support in the production, support in the marketing, support in the prices. When they get a support, and we have to say take people out of the farmlands. If many people are in the farmlands, you see, the technology in the farmlands is not possible, because if the people are there, they will look for the work. The technology will replace people. That's why first replace people, then technology will come automatically. And that is why you end the answer with a solution that technology missions, see, only technology will not bring any change. The technology requires an ecosystem of the support of the income, support of the production, support of the marketing, support of the, say, society, as well as women should there, like we have to educate women in the drone technology so that they can work on the field with the technology. That's why this answer will have multiple domains, and you see I've written everything here. Like the first mission was brought in 1986, right? So the data is there. Data, we have the oil seeds mission in 86, then we have the cotton mission in 2000, horticulture mission in 2005, food security mission in 2007, and the digital agriculture mission 2024, and they have led to say imports have reduced, right? Nutrition, food security we talked about has increased. India as a world's food basket, right? Then we have increased to the climate resilient varieties. Now we are in a mode that we can sustain the climate vagaries and the resilience is higher. And then the output is diversified. We are in a, say, BT cotton zone. The cotton farmers have a benefit that the pest attacks are minimized, right? And of course, we have excess food grains. But you see, as I said, that no technology is alone sufficient. It has to be backed up by ecosystem of knowledge, awareness, support, prices, markets, women empowerment. That's how the mission will generate the results. I hope that we are clear on this part. The answer is done in this part, right? Now the next question is explain the factors responsible for the inefficiency of agri-produce marketing, right? How e-commerce helps to reduce inefficiency of the agri-produce marketing. Again, the question is in 150 words, 10 marks. You see, the question says what are the, you have to explain, just explain the factors responsible for the inefficiency of the agri-produce marketing. You see, the marketing of agri-produce begins after the harvest of the, say, crop. However, even before the harvest, the planning of the markets are there, right? But technically, after we harvest a crop, right, then we look for the marketing. The question is largely what are the inefficiencies in the marketing. So the answer will be, see, when we produce, right, the farmers are small. We see 86% farmers of the country are small and marginal, right? So when they produce something, right, they look for the short-term vision that, okay, this is I have to consume. They don't look for the market demand. So the market intelligence is missing. So suppose the demand is for, say, onions. We produce, say, potatoes. As a result, the mismatch is always there. So the agriculture marketing becomes inefficient. So the first issue I would say is the lack of the market intelligence. especially with the small and the marginal farmers, which are large in number, right? Now, after they produce, see, harvest losses or the post-harvest losses are very high because the handling techniques are outdated, or say the farmers are small with lack of knowledge and experience in many ways, right, to cater to the market. So post-harvest, say harvest management is also issue. Post-harvest grading, crops have to be graded on the basis of the maturity, color, quality, and the lack of grading, lack of quality checks, lack of packaging, lack of infrastructure to take to the mandis is a set of problem. But when you reach a mandi, there is a problem. That the problem is in the mandis, there are high mandi fees, the charges are high. It's not that easy to sell in mandis. It takes time because when in the mandis, they will check the quality, and there is a monopoly of the commission agents in many areas. So farmers having to see or to agree to the commission agents' demand will be able to sell, but small farmers who don't want to get into the trap will sell outside. As a result, marketing becomes ineffective. So the pricing is also there, that the distress sale is there. When the farmers will sell at a distressed with prices, the next cropping becomes very non-remunerative, right? And that is why we have a list of the problems of the storage, harvest, transportation, the commission agents problem, mandi storage problem, the distress sale, the grading, etc., right? So all of them, they have led to, and you see they have multiple layers of marketers, multiple middlemen. As a result, the farmers will get 30-40% of the produce amount, right? The rest goes to the middlemen. As a result, farmers is not getting what they should get, and that is why a list of problem is there. Now, coming to the solution, how e-commerce? You see, e-commerce usually buy from the producers and connect to the consumers. They eliminate the middlemen. As a result, farmers get the best of the prices. Secondly, they buy from the farmers directly. So as a result, farmers need not say go to the mandis in case the state government promotes the contract farming, right? In case they don't promote, then the farmers will get to the mandis, they will buy from the mandis, right? But in many horticulture produce, the contract farming is there. So the farmers will sell to the e-commerce companies in bulk, right? They get the price at the right time, at the right quality. Plus, e-commerce companies also tell the farmers that, okay, use this seed and produce as per my demand quality. As a result, farmers produce, gets a upgrade, right? So middleman is reduced, right? The mandi issues are reduced. Price determination transparency is higher, right? You see, we have ENAM, right? In the ENAM, 1400 mandis are connected and they can sell from each other on a market determined prices, right? The e-commerce companies can buy from the mandis. So e-commerce private players, they have invested money in the infrastructure, the grading infrastructure, transport infrastructure, price discovery. As a result, there is a market competition helping the farmers to get the best of the prices, right? So we have explained the whole answer, and in this case, we have to write first. So in this case, you can begin from the single sentence that the marketing is the last stage, which if is not efficient will defeat the purpose of the agriculture. This is the introduction, I would say. Then write as a list factors responsible, we have discussed. Then write how e-commerce, you have to explain, there is an explanation that how e-commerce will help you, that we have a direct farm to consumer platforms, and see, small farmers can sell to the e-commerce players, payments are direct and transparent, price discovery is better, and they also provide you the seeds and the inputs for the better production. So this is the solution, and this is the problem, that we have a long chains of intermediaries, the APMC, Agriculture Produce Marketing Committee's monopoly, right? Infrastructure, grading issues, information asymmetry, and these all are the content of the answer. I hope that we are clear so far, right? Then you see the next question is about the key challenges for India's energy security. Explain this. What measures do you suggest for ensuring the energy security along with the economic growth and sustainability, right? You see, India has been dependent on the crude oil and say other forms of energy, right, the coal. And we import nearly 88% of our crude oil requirements. Our electricity generation is largely based on the coal, which is largely imported. And you see, apart from these challenges that we are dependent on the crude oil and the coal, and that is also affected by the West Asian crisis, the war, disruption of the Strait of Hormuz, and the wars in the world. But again, we also have we have done well in the renewable, but still the renewable energy requires the batteries, right? The battery requires the lithium, they require the critical minerals, and we don't have that reservoirs of the lithium and the critical minerals. So the challenges is not about the crude only, the challenges is about the crude availability is there in the limited ways, disruption in the West Asia, the global wars, battery infrastructure, battery quality, the lithium cobalt supplies are also there. So we have a list of energy security problems. Plus, you see, coming to the hydropower has a challenge of the environment, right? Atomic energy has the challenge of the security, right? The uranium supplies are also very much constrained by the global NPT laws, right? So all of them are we are not a party to the NSG. You must have read about NSG, nuclear suppliers group, that also restricts our access to the nuclear technology. So a list of challenges are there: energy, the critical minerals, the lithium supplies, the coal supplies, the crude oil supplies, right, the battery. And China has a monopoly on these things. As a result, to counter India's growth, China also restricts India's access to these things, right? But how do you suggest, right? What measures do you suggest for the renewable? See, growth and sustainability, both are there, right? See, we have a renewable energy target of 500 gigawatts by 2030. So we are on that track, and the solar power is the biggest component. We have a Pradhan Mantri Suryodaya Yojana, right, for the rooftop solar, right? We have the solar parks, and for the same we are trying to generate the solar cells. But again, the solar cells require the semiconductors, and they are in short supply in many areas. But still, our initiatives include the PLI to produce the solar cells, right? We are initiatives is to say promote the renewable energy. The recent Shanti bill has privatized to some extent the nuclear power sector, atomic energy sector. Small modular reactors will be coming up to 300 megawatt, which will be promoting the privatization in the nuclear power, again energy security, right? Then we are trying to say develop the battery infrastructure cells. PLI is there, right? And see, crude oil supplies have to be diversified, say from Russia, from Venezuela, from other countries is important. So green hydrogen mission, the ethanol blending is there, right? So we are trying to diversify from ethanol blending, green hydrogen, say other forms of geothermal energy, but they are small in number. But yes, atomic, solar, wind are the major source of energy that is sustainable, as well as they will make India independent of any external shocks, right? So in this part, the question answer is very straight. The question has no, just go with the flow, that explain the challenges, then suggest the measures. So I have written everywhere that import dependence is a challenge, coal dependence is a challenge, geopolitical shocks is a challenge. See, demand is increasing. India is a rising country, so demand is higher, supply is lower. Then we have one more thing can add here is the DISCOM. The DISCOMs, the distributing companies, have losses because they don't receive enough revenue to pick up the power from the power company. So DISCOMs have been at losses. As a result, the power purchased by them have been say limited, right? So DISCOMs and the transmission and distribution losses and critical minerals absence or the scarcity is a problem. The solutions we have discussed at scale: the renewable energy source, right? Green hydrogen mission, nuclear power, expand the coal and the crude oil reserves sources, right? And make the petroleum reserves. We have reserves in the country. Then again, critical energy, critical mineral missions is there, and go with the ethanol blending and the DISCOM, say Uday Yojana, right? To help the financially distressed discoms to say reduce their burden. So all of them will be helpful to achieve the energy security. I hope that we are clear on this part. The next question is about on the startups. New type of question has come, right? That is, how are the startups in India promoting entrepreneurship, innovation, and employment? You see, startups are the enterprises which are in the initial phase of operation, right? And they are the ones who take a new risk. They are not routine businesses. They are in the initial phase of operation and based upon the new and disruptive technology, right? The question is, how are they startups promoting the entrepreneurship, innovation, and the employment? One. Second, discuss the challenges and suggest the measures. So the first, I would say, part is about the startup, how they are promoting. This is the one part I would say, go with the 100 words here, right? Then challenges will be there. So go with the challenges, say 70-80 words of challenges, and suggest measures is also 70-80 words. So we have effectively done 250 words of the answer, right? So the first thing you must do in the answer is to break the question into what would be in how many words, because that will not deviate you from the main answer, right? So one thing is that. Second thing is that what is the how they are promoting. You see, startups by definition are the enterprises in the initial phase of operation, right? So they kick risk-taking ability of the youth. As a result, they are promoting the entrepreneurship apart from the routine jobs the youth will take, right? One. Startups are in the new phase of operation. You see, unless you are into some new idea, if you don't disrupt the market, you are not a startup, right? So to disrupt the existing business, to disrupt the big business, you have to have the innovation, right? And you see, disruption requires not the degrees, but the skills and the mindset. So they take new people into the jobs which were not finding the jobs in a routine atmosphere where the degrees matter. Here, what matters is how much you are talented, you can look future, you can break the old regimes. And that is why they generate new jobs in, say, areas which were not even thought of, like they say space technology, the drones, the AI, the disruptive deep tech technologies, right? So far our jobs are limited to the cement, steel, and similar industries. But now the startups, they break the old regime, old mindset. As a result, they are opening the new areas. So they generate new employment where there was no thought of any employment, and that is why they promote the jobs, they promote disruption, and they of course kick the risk-taking, say, intuitiveness among the youth, right? Now, coming to this part further, we can also write that India has, say, nearly 2.4 lakhs. The DPIIT registered startups in the country, and they have generated jobs of nearly 23 lakh, right? So we do have some data that 110 startups are now unicorns having a market value of, say, $1 billion and above, right? So they have a high market value, they have generated jobs, they are into unicorns, they are into the disruptive technologies, right? So you write all about the startups that we discussed in this part in 100 words. We have enough content to write here. Coming to the global and the domestic challenge, you see, I would add my own vision to this, right? See, China's startups are in the deep tech, the robotics, the AI. Our startups in India are mostly about the, say, clothing, coffee, food, bakery, and the routine things which have no much of the disruption in the market. They are having a life of 2 and 3 years, and that is why more than 90% of startups in India, they fail within 3 years of their, say, origin. The reason is not any innovation. They are just based on the demand of the people. They present the old goods in a new way, new name, new fashion. Nothing is new as such, and that is why I would say this is a domestic challenge of the vision of Indian startups, right? But again, those who have a vision, they will have issue of the funding. And see, markets are not always, you see, big companies will always try to capture your market. As a result, it's very difficult to fight. a small company with the big companies. Unless you have a patented product, it's very difficult to sustain them. So the domestic challenges are of the funding, of the mentorship, of the innovation. The global challenges are of the competition and the global funding. Like the war took place in the US and Iran, Israel, the money has outflown from the country. As a result, the investments have dried down, right? And see, when the startups falter, they fail, investors lose their confidence in the startup. As a result, also the many startups are not getting required funds. Unless you have a very great idea and great execution, you won't get any money. So what are the measures? See, measures will be from the government, that you have to create a fund of funds, deep tech funds, mentorship program, the Bhaskar platform for the mentorship of the startups, the seed fund scheme, Startup India mission. You abolished the angel tax, and these things will go a long way. Don't burden startup with the taxes. Give them the quick registration, give them the quick patent promotion. Patent should be incentivized. You see, innovation and business go hand in hand. No business can sustain without innovation. Innovation is the heart and soul of the business. So startups should do innovation. So startup will not just be running on the giving of a fund. Fund the mind, business will grow, right? Fund the mind, fund the innovation. Business will come automatically from the idea. So write these parts in the answer. Don't write any static part. Write some innovative thing which is forcing the examiner to study your thesis, right? What you are trying to say. But we have seen all the data here, and I've written everything, that we have this many startups registered, and 2.3 million jobs are there, and 45% of the startups largely are in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, right? We have 110 unicorns, innovations, fintech, and issues we have written that the funding is issue, quality is issue, deep tech funding is lacking, and this is the list of the solutions: the angel tax abolition, and the deep tech funds, the fund of funds, the Bhaskar platform for the bringing all of them together. So these are the answer to the question. So the conclusion I would say is that we should not just focus on the startups. Now the conclusion should be from the startup mission to take the scale up mission. Don't just sit on the start, scale up, right? So the conclusion can be from the startup mission, go with the scale up mission and provide mind the fuel, right? The government has given funds. Funds will not help the startup. They will take the funds, they will eat away, and they will go away. Fund the mind, right? Mind should be funded. Idea should be funded. Innovation should be funded. The business will grow automatically. This should be your conclusion in the answer. I hope that we are clear and we have enough content to write the answer. Then we have a next question coming from the agriculture. How India's agriculture has been transformed from the food scarcity to food surplus. You see, we have lot of content here, that we have launched green revolution, which has led to the food scarcity to food surplus. From 51 million tons production of food grains in 1950, we have 376 million tons of the food grain production in the year 2025-26. So from 51 to 376 million tons have come in the last, say, 70 years, which is based upon the initial, like the green revolution, the food security mission, the horticulture mission, the technology mission, the other missions we talked about in the agriculture, the schemes of the soil health card, the other edible oil mission, right? The Shri Anna, focus on the millets production, right? Now, explain the various policies. So this is the totally factual question, what the government has done. The government has led to many policies to diversify the agriculture, like we talked about. The green revolution talked about the, say, food grains. Yellow revolution talked about the pulses. White revolution about the, say, milk production. Blue revolution about the fisheries, allied activities. The Shri Anna about the millets, right? Agriculture stack, or the digital agriculture on the, say, ecosystem of the agriculture. So we can write about a lot of things like the PM Kisan, Agriculture Infrastructure Fund, and Matsya Sampada Yojana, National Livestock Mission, Shri Anna. We have talked about the edible oil mission, the technology mission. We talked about the crop diversification, horticulture. So we have list of schemes, right? This is a simple question. So first would be that our production has increased from 51 to 376 based upon the Green Revolution, MSP, buffer stock, NFSA, Food Security Act, and the multiple revolutions, white, blue, green, yellow, silver, golden, sweet revolution on the honey, etc. So they have all led to the, say, food surplus in the country, say white for the milk, yellow for the pulses, say red for the meat, blue for the fisheries, green for the food grains, and we have multiple revolutions. So they are there, and the disaster resilient technologies, dry land agriculture, Shri Anna, BT cotton, say BT cotton is about the crop which is not food, but still the use of the technology for the farmers is also important, right? So this is how the answer will be done. I hope that this is a simple question which can be answered. And the last question is about discuss the different types of subsidies and supports provided by the government of India to agriculture sector, right? See, all of these questions we have discussed in our classes, very openly, very clearly, right? And this is a question we have discussed multiple times in the classes discussion, that what are the subsidy. You see, the government provide the food subsidy of 2 lakh crores to farmers and to people, right? The subsidy on the fertilizers, 1.7 lakh crores, right? Subsidy on the electricity, right? Subsidy on, say, transportation, like the Kisan Rail. Subsidy, say, on the prices, right? The MSP. Subsidy on the exports, subsidy on the seeds. So the government provides immense subsidies to farmers to the production of the food grains, from the seeds to electricity to fertilizers to transport to pricing to, say, PM Kisan, the cash subsidy, right? So the different subsidies are there. They are also about the research and development, right? So we have to write here the various subsidies they are given to the farm field, right? We talked about Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gram Jyoti Yojana for the electricity, then the fertilizer subsidy on the urea and the DAP, right? The Kisan Rail, the food subsidy, the multiple things that we have discussed, right? Now, what are the issues on this part? You see, when you give a subsidy to farmers, right, the subsidies at times they increase the production of the food grains. Increased production reduces the prices, right? And Indian crops become cheaper. As a result, our export potential increases, right? Other countries' goods may not enter the country, so the WTO, other members have, say, issued a notice as a kind of a query and a concern that India's public stock holding, that the food we hold as a stock to distribute to the beneficiaries of food security, they disrupt the various limits of the WTO. The point is, in the WTO, the subsidies are, the domestic subsidies are into three boxes. The green box, which is the development subsidy having no upper limit. The blue box, which is given to limit the production, right, having no upper limit. And the amber box, which is a subsidy like fertilizer, MSP, that increases the production and disrupt the trade of agriculture goods, right? So at the WTO in the Bali summit, the countries objected to India's food security program, but India said that this is a program which is for the poor and not for the export distortion. That is why you need to find a permanent solution to this clause, right? And that is why WTO countries, members like the Canada, America, they have objected to India's food security program. Amber box, right, because they see this as a trade distorting, because our food public stock holding program they see as a threat to their own exports, right? So the point here is you have to examine the issues that that subsidy is for the production, not for the trade distortion. And our concern is that, see, developed countries, they give green box subsidy, they give the research subsidy that also increases the production, but there is no limit on the green box subsidy. So we want few things, that first also include the green box. Second, the base year to assess the production value is 86-88 prices, right? You have missed the 40 years of the inflation. So based on the 86-88 prices, you calculate the production value, and on the basis of the value, you calculate the upper limit of subsidies. So increase the price inflation, adjust the inflation and increase the reference year, address the green box subsidy, and also take care of the concern that India is a developing country having the food scarcity. We have to give the subsidy for the poor people, and that is why these aspects will be addressed in this part. And at the end you can write what should be the conclusion, that the WTO must reform and address the concerns of the developing people, right? So this all is mentioned here, like the subsidies, peace clause, permanent clause, right? So these things, friends, will be actually, the paper was very, what we have discussed in the classes in the last many years. So it's all, you can see the questions very simple, very to the point, and this is how the preparation of the mains should be there. I hope that we are clear. Please post your questions and queries on the chat. We shall respond to them, and see you in the next video. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.